Well, hi Renee. Thanks for being able to meet with me remotely. I know times are kind of hard right now, but I'm really glad you reached out to me after your shift yesterday. I know you've been pretty anxious. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's been going on?
Sure. You remember how I liked my job so much when I first started? Well, things have changed. I feel like my coworkers, well, some of them I have turned against me. Sometimes while I'm trying to work with a patient, I hear them talking about me. And yesterday, I realized this must be true because I heard one of them saying my name, and they stopped talking as soon as I walked out of the patient's room that I was working with.
I bet that felt really stressful. How did it impact the rest of your day at work?
Well, it made it hard for me to concentrate. I forgot to double check the patient's roster, so I got behind on some of my assigned tasks. Then my stomach started hurting, and I felt like I couldn't quite catch my breath. I told my supervisor that I was sick, and I left early.
Sounds like you had a really hard day. When you get worried that people might be talking about you, it makes you feel physically ill. So, how are you feeling today?
Well, I feel a little bit better because today is my day off. But when I think about going back to work tomorrow, I start to feel very anxious.
Yeah. When you and I first met about 6 months ago, you mentioned that anxiety on the job has been a big factor in some of your job turnover.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like things change once I get into a job. I like it at first and then something happens.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people that I work with kind of talk about the same thing. It's usually exciting starting a new job, but once things settle in, we can start to notice certain aspects of the job that are difficult or kind of undesirable.
I think with my job right now, it's mostly about my coworkers. I don't know why they turned on me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I know that I have worried at times that people might be talking about me or giving me strange looks. Sometimes I think that might be true, but sometimes I think it might not be.
Well, with these coworkers, I know it's true.
Okay. Well, I wonder how it might feel for you to start up conversations with your coworkers to maybe try to get to know them better. Maybe if you could talk about things that you have in common, you might understand each other more and maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with each other.
But how could I even do that?
The ESP and Renee then talk through some specific scenarios. They make a list of things that Renee likes as well as things she has seen in the news that she could bring up as part of a conversation. They then role play these potential interactions.
I don't know though. I mean, even if things get better with my coworkers, I just feel like my anxiety is a lot worse lately.
It does seem like things have been harder recently for you. When was the last time that you were able to see Juanita, your therapist?
Well, she's been out of town for 2 weeks, and I missed our session right before she left. That was also when I was supposed to see a psychiatrist. I ran out of my new anxiety meds last Friday.
I bet that has been impacting your anxiety as well. I see the psychiatrist at our regular meeting tomorrow. Would you like me to see if she has an opening next week?
That would be great. Also, I mean, I like Juanita, but I don't know if therapy is really helping me right now. I feel like all we do is talk about the same things, and I don't get any better.
Well, has Juanita ever talked with you about specific skills for managing your anxiety?
I mean, well, I guess.
The ESP asks Renee what skills she has worked on with her therapist. They discuss deep breathing and grounding techniques. The ESP also states that she will talk to Renee's employment peer mentor, Bobby, about Renee's current struggles. She proposes that Renee and Bobby can work on a RAT plan specific to maintaining employment. Then the ESP asks whether or not Renee would be open to the ESP talking directly with her supervisor. She states that she could inquire about the possibility of Renee taking shorter, more frequent breaks to manage her anxiety. In the past, Renee has not been interested in utilizing disclosure.
Well, what would you tell my supervisor? I don't want him to know that I see a psychiatrist or go to the clinic or anything.
That's a good question. I would only discuss things with your supervisor that you felt comfortable with. What could you imagine you might be okay with me saying to him?
Well, you could tell him that you are kind of like a work mentor, and I guess you could say that sometimes I have anxiety and it can make me feel sick.
That sounds like a good idea. Can I use the word employment specialist when I talk to him?
Yeah, that would be okay. I just don't want him to start treating me like I'm fragile or crazy. I don't want to add anything else to what my coworkers might already be saying about me.
Okay. Why don't we write down some examples of exactly what you would feel comfortable with me saying to your supervisor and what kind of job accommodations might be most helpful for you?
Sounds good.
The ESP and Renee revisit the disclosure worksheet. They talk through the pros and cons of disclosure and write out several things that Renee feels comfortable with an ESP sharing. They make a plan for the ESP to take Renee to work in the morning and ask to speak with her supervisor.